everybody? My name is Jack. Today I'm going to be talking about the movie Glass that's directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan. As you may know, Glass is the third and final installment in the East Rail 177 trilogy. It all started with Unbreakable, then Split, and now it's ending with Glass. So the movie starts out with David Dunn, who's looking for the Horde, who is played by James McAvoy, which is a really cool way to start out the movie. I loved the start of this movie. I think everybody agrees that the first 20 minutes of the movie is freaking great. Then after the first 20 minutes, then it becomes this psychological thriller with Mr. Glass, the Horde, and the Overseer. And after that is really where this movie is great. For me personally, I've heard a lot of complaints that the middle part is a little bit slow, but I loved it. I thought it was it wasn't slow in a sense that it was boring. I mean, it definitely was kind of like a slow burner movie, just like Unbreakable was, but I thought it was very interesting at the same time. And what this movie does really well is its characters. The characters in this movie are fantastic. M. Night Shyamalan, love him or hate him, he knows how to write compelling characters around a great narrative. The Horde, Mr. Glass, David Dunn, I mean, everybody in this movie is fantastic. One character in particular that I thought was really, really great in this movie is David Dunn's son. I forget the actor who played him, but for some reason he really, really was great in this movie. This is a really interesting movie, for me at least. I could see how the ending of the movie could make some people mad, but I loved it. I mean, Shyamalan's always been a bold storyteller. This is not news to anybody. But what he does really well is that he knows how to work the camera and he knows how to direct really, really good sequences. One particular sequence is when all three main characters are sitting across from Ellie Staple, the doctor in this movie, and it's like a 15-minute sequence or something like that. I forget how long it is. But it's probably one of the best parts of the movie, just writing-wise, acting-wise, directing-wise, and color-wise, too. The color in this movie is fantastic. There are little things throughout the movie that you can go, that's Elijah Price's color, that's the Horde's color, there's green, there's David Dunn's color, you know, and it's little things like that M. Night Shyamalan really, really knows what he's doing. And from the very first minute of this movie, I was hooked. Up until the very last second of this movie, that gave me chills. And I'm not trying to be an M. Night Shyamalan fanboy. I know he's made some shitty movies in the past, but for some reason this movie struck a chord with me deep. I really, really liked this ending. I thought it was bold. It wraps up really well, and I think it kind of leaves you off with a sense of like they could make some sequels, but obviously we know that M. Night Shyamalan does not want to make any other sequels after this one. But the way it wraps up, it's kind of an open-ended ending, but it also closes out the trilogy, and I think that's a really, really good way of putting it. And you gotta give M. Night Shyamalan some merit for that. He started this trilogy almost 20 years ago, brought it back 2 years ago with Split, and now he's ended it. And and he's not gonna try and take it into the direction of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's 3 movies, it's set, done, boom, that's it. And you really gotta give him credit for that. And what I really, really liked about this movie is that it is grounded. It has those grounded characters that we know and love from Unbreakable and Split. But then it also kind of delves into this wacky kind of thing at the end, which for some it kind of turned people off. I've heard a lot of people say that the movie was really, really good up until like the last 20 minutes. And the last 20 minutes, it just kind of turned them off. For me, it did the opposite. I thought the last 20 minutes made me go back and review the whole movie in a completely different way. And the first time I saw it, I loved it, but then the second time that I saw it, it really, knowing the ending, going back and rewatching the movie, you really, really do get a sense that it's like M. Night Shyamalan really, really knows how to craft a narrative. And going back and rewatching it a second time, you pick up on these little things here and there that just make the entire movie just really, really fun to watch. And this is an interesting movie because it's one of those movies that's kind of polarizing for critics and for the audience. The audience score for this movie is like 76, and the critic score is I think like 36 or something like that, 36, 37, somewhere in there percent. I'm completely on the audience side. I probably would have given it a little bit of a higher grade if it was up to me, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought the characters were great. I thought the twist was really well executed. I can see how people didn't like it, and I've heard a lot of nitpicks about how it was just kind of like thrown in there and everything. But if you think about it, the ending of Unbreakable was kind of thrown in there. Not really thrown in there, but it does kind of, come out of left field, and you're like, whoa, holy shit, But and it's the same kind of twist, comes out of left field. But then it kind of makes sense when you go back and rewatch the movie, in my opinion at least. So this is my first official movie review, and I really wanted to do it over Glass just because it stuck with me really well over the past week. I've let it digest and all that, and I really thought about it. I've listened to the soundtrack multiple times. I think it's a fantastic soundtrack. So I'm not really sure if I want to do grades on my movies quite yet. I'll start out with giving grades right now, but in the future I might not, because I really just like to talk about movies, because giving it a grade, it's like set in stone, this is it, you know, but I don't really think film in that way. I don't think of film in that way, sorry. I think a film is more of just like an ongoing conversation, and so like giving something a grade makes me feel like it's like set in stone, it's there and everything. So I'm not really going to give grades maybe in the future. I might, but I'll give a grade for this one. I think I'm going to give Glass an A, not an A+. I mean, it has a little bit nitpicky points in there, whatever, but I think it's a great film. I think it's a very misunderstood film. I think people went into this movie thinking something when they got something completely different, and I think that kind of turned a lot of critics off. But for me, I thought it was great. I'm going to give it an A, like I said. If you guys like this video, leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, do whatever you want, tell your friends and family about me. I don't really care, do whatever you want, it's your life, I'm not in control of it, whatever. But if you do like the video, please subscribe, help your boy out. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day and keep on watching movies.